South China Morning Post, 1st of August 2023, Argentina agrees to an agreement with the People's Bank of China to exchange IMF debt for $1.7 billion in yuan. China has been lending money to financially fragile nations worldwide as part of its quest for global dominance. Still, the most significant threat is not China itself but rather the respect for the loan guarantees that China has been given. According to the country's economy minister, the Argentine government and the People's Bank of China have agreed to secure $1.7 billion in yuan through currency swaps to fulfill its $2.7 billion payment obligations to the International Monetary Fund. The Development Bank of Latin America, better known as CAF, with headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela, has agreed to lend the $1 billion needed to cover the outstanding portion of the payment. Argentina had deposited significant amounts of pesos with the BAC as per the agreement, and in exchange, it received worthless renminbi. After that, Buenos Aires could pay the IMF without using its dollar reserves, which the Central Bank of Argentina now considers worth $8 billion. Argentina's economy minister, Sergio Massa, congratulated the BAC and the Chinese government for deciding to authorize the disbursement and stated that it would ensure that Argentina can continue its exports while meeting its payment obligations to the IMF. Massa said the arrangement would enable Argentina to fulfill its IMF obligations without using a single dollar of its reserves. The agreement follows the South American nation's decision in June to let commercial banks open customer accounts in non-convertible yuan as a step toward broader adoption of China's currency. Argentina's securities regulator also permitted the issue of yuan-denominated securities on the domestic market this year. The swap was anticipated to be a short-term debt serviced with reserves, with China's involvement possibly serving as a temporary bridge until the money committed by the IMF arrives and is paid back to China in genuine US dollars. This information was provided to the Post by a government source familiar with the situation. Neither the CAF nor the Economy Ministry provided any information regarding the length of the loan or the excessive interest rate Argentina would be required to pay on the new debt. According to Buenos Aires, the swap parameters with the BAC were part of a confidential arrangement and could not be disclosed. To quell the public's ire. The disputed IMF debt originated in 2018, when Mauricio Macri, president at the time, obtained a $44 billion loan, the highest in IMF history. Later, Alberto Fernandez, the current president of Argentina, had the debt renegotiated. In exchange for new disbursements to pay down the debt it took on 5 years earlier, Buenos Aires agreed to the IMF that it would reduce public spending, increase reserves, and maintain competitive interest rates. According to Ariel González Lavagui of the Pontifical Catholic University of Argentina, the arrangement with the Chinese government prevented a dramatic situation in which Buenos Aires would not have had the funds to pay the loan. Given that more than half of Argentina's foreign reserves are currently held in renminbi, Lavagui thought the change would increase Chinese influence in the Argentine economy. Considering that the renegotiated terms for the debt to the IMF do not provide a viable way out for Argentina, he expressed concern that the plan would prove unsustainable. Argentina is attempting to buy time, and unquestionably, the Chinese support this effort. The matter at hand, though, is what concessions Beijing will seek in return, according to Lavagui. He stated that China has been lobbying Argentina to purchase Chinese 8x8 armored fighting vehicles and JF-17 aircraft made by China North Industries Group Corporation, also known as Norinco. Beijing is seeking authorization from the government-owned China National Nuclear Corporation to begin constructing a nuclear power plant worth $8.3 billion. The Argentine president resorted to Beijing for assistance when Fernandez was unable to reach an agreement with Washington for potential debt relief with the IMF, according to Lavagui. It would eventually be forced to pick a side, And it will be very, very complicated, he predicted of Buenos Aires. Relations between the US and China are now tumultuous. This two-way game being performed here will probably come to an end eventually. The arrangement might not provide Beijing with immediate economic benefits. Still, according to Alexander Coelho of the International Political Science Association, it certainly helps to expand the use of the renminbi as an international currency, a long-standing Chinese plan. Despite the renminbi's inclusion in the IMF's currency basket since 2016, debt settlement rarely uses this currency. The decision made by Argentina establishes a precedent that other developing nations in a similar circumstance may follow in the future, according to Coelho, a former legal counsel to the Bank of China. He continued that the pact, which Washington frequently utilized to direct Latin American policy, may also indicate how much U.S. power has decreased in the IMF. Americans are standing by as China advances aggressively,